Thanks, Paul. Now, it's no secret that afro or curly hair can be complex. Navigating the textures, trying unique styles, investing in new treatments, and dealing with the consequences later. Here to educate us on our hair health is Aisha Bilal Ali.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us. Now, I know you work with Heradox, so before we get into overall hair health, tell us a little bit about what you do at Heradox.
Heradox, we specialize in the highly textured hair. We call it kinky, coily, and curly hair. And we do locks, natural hair, twists, coils, almost anything except for relaxers and perms.
Nice. So you stay within the natural department?
Yes.
Okay, so now I know there are multiple types of hair textures, and they all require different treatments. Can you name out some of the textures?
Well, we really use the kinky, coily, curly, wavy, straight as the typing chart instead of the 4C, 4B.
Now, what are some of the differences in treatments for each kind of texture?
When you say treatments are normally when you're having something abnormal going on with the hair, say a scalp disorder. So you would require maybe a different type of treatment, like a scalp exfoliation scrub or a clay mask on your scalp. But a regular treatment, if you want to say treatment, would be like your protein treatment, maybe once a quarter, depending on how you wear your hair. So deep conditioning with steam or without steam. Some people do it under the dryer with a cap. You might be familiar with that as well. But we do have micro mist steamers.
Micro mist steamers, that sounds fancy. Now, is that something that you guys offer, or is that something that somebody could buy for home?
Some of the steamers are a few $1,000s, so yes, you can
So we're
buy
coming
them.
to you for it. That's what it sounds like. Yeah, we're coming to you.
Yes, you can.
Okay, now I know that there are some misconceptions in terms of how to treat your hair, because everybody's hair is different. What are some of those misconceptions?
For one of the treatments that we do is just a pre-detangling of the hair before you shampoo it, because it can get really tangly once you shampoo it, especially if you've had like braids or weave or something binding the hair. That dirt and oil gets kind of clumped up in there, and then you go to the shampoo bowl and it really tightens the hair up. So just the proper detangling is really important. The deep conditioners, the protein treatments, and trims.
And when you say detangling, I know that that can be hard. You'll detangle your hair, speaking from personal experience, of course. You'll detangle your hair, you'll look at the comb, and you'll see hair in the comb. Is that good or bad? Does that mean my hair is dry? Is that supposed to happen? I mean, what does that mean?
It can be good or bad. So, for example, your hair sheds about 100 hairs a day anyway.
Wow.
So if you have just a little bit of hair in your brush or comb, first you shouldn't even detangle it dry. See, that's the main thing. If like we really do use like a conditioning treatment to detangle, we use a large tooth comb or a Denman brush or something like that, like a detangling brush. Start from the bottom, go all the way to the root. So you use something that's going to soften that hair up, that break up the dirt and oil a little bit and soften the hair. Makes it a lot easier. And put enough in there. Sometimes people don't use enough conditioner to saturate the hair and make it easier to comb through.
You know, I always thought that once you wet the hair, it kind of knotted it even more because it was hard to detangle.
It can. So when you're at home, it's going to be quite different than at the salon. You know, in the salon, we can probably do your hair in like 90 minutes. Whereas at home, you might be 4 hours, you know. So you may want to do a section at a time at home.
Okay. Nice. Now, how do you know if your hair is moisturized? And how do you keep it moisturized?
You know. The person knows because they feel the hair. And they say, oh, it just feels dry or it looks dry. So moisture is two parts. It contains water, which is your hydration, then your sealant, which is going to be your oil or maybe a butter on top. So if you don't put water on the hair, it's really impossible to moisturize the hair. Most people don't know that. They just put oil, you know, on top of the hair. They say, oh, my hair is really dry. Then when you ask them about the water part, they say, oh, no. Or you're wearing a style that you can't put water in. So you do deep conditioners before you get the style, and don't wear the style a long time.
So let's talk about protective styles, because I know a protective style, I can personal experience here, guys. When I wear my box braids, I typically keep them in for about 6 months. And, oh, I see your face already. And in my mind, when I'm oiling my scalp, I'm moisturizing it. But that isn't necessarily the best thing, right?
Right. We don't encourage people to put oil or grease or anything on their scalp because the scalp oils itself. Wow. Right. So every hair follicle has an oil gland. And so your scalp has an environment that it's trying to keep. So when you put things on your scalp, you can, mess that environment up. You can clog your pores. A whole lot of things can happen. And we're seeing so many scalp disorders that sometimes the oil is making it worse.
And what does a scalp disorder look like? How do you know when you have one?
You can see it. You can feel it. Normally, it's really flaky.
Does it hurt?
It can be painful. Some bleed. Yes, some can even bleed. Yes.
Everything that I thought I knew based off of YouTube DIYs, you're kind of like taking me back and correcting a lot of things that I thought was correct.
Well, historically, we just go by what like our grandparents, our moms did, the way we were wearing our hair. I say we because I've had several hairstyles. But, we used to grease our scalp before we pressed our hair. But now we're not really wearing that press like that. So we don't always have to do the same habits, but we brought those same habits in, but our hair is not doing better. So we have to change our habits based on what we know about science in our hair. Right? Our hair loves water. It doesn't love to be manipulated every day. So that Afro puff, that style that you have to go in and comb every day and twist every day, your hair might not be doing as well because you're in it a little bit too much.
Okay, we can talk about this forever. So my last question before they just take us to break. My last question is, how important is it for people of color or people with kinky, curly, textured hair to understand their hair?
Like I tell my clients, only take care of the hair that you want to keep. It's ultimately important. If you want healthy hair, you want to retain your length.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being a very insightful resource for us.
Thank you so much.
And Hairadox, I mean, if you have more questions or just interested in getting your natural hair treated, maintained, and just to educate yourself on how to keep it up, Hairadox is the place to go. But stick with us. We will be back after the break. Thank you, Aisha, for coming in.
You're welcome.